from the California State Universities.
Mr. Krishnamurti, last time we were speaking together, we were going into beauty. And just as we came to the end of our conversation, the question of seeing and its relation to the transformation of man, which is not dependent on knowledge or time, was something we promised ourselves we would take up next time we could come together.
That is, so what is seeing, and what is listening, and what is learning? I think there are three related to each other:
seeing,
learning, hearing, and seeing.
Mm-hmm.
What is seeing? Perceiving. Do we actually see? Or do we see through a screen, darkly? Screen of prejudice, screen of our idiosyncrasies, experiences, our wishes, pleasures, fears. So, and obviously our images about that which we see and about ourselves. So we have this screen after screen between us and the object of perception. So do we ever see the thing at all? Or is it the seeing is colored by our knowledge, botanical experience, so on, so on, so on, or our images which we have about that thing, or the belief in which my mind is conditioned, the mind is conditioned, and therefore prevents the seeing? Or is the memories which mind has cultivated prevents the seeing? So seeing may not take place at all.
Mm-hmm.
And is it possible for the mind not to have these images, conclusions, beliefs, memories, prejudices, fears, and without having those screens, just to look? I think this becomes very important, because when there is a seeing of the thing which I am talking about, when there is a seeing, you can't help but acting. There's no question of postponement.
Or succession.
Succession.
Or interval.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because when action is based on a belief, a conclusion, an idea, then that action is time-binding.
Mm-hmm.
And that action will inevitably bring conflict and sorrow, regrets and all the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes very important to find out what it is to see, to perceive, what it is to hear. Do I ever hear? When one is married, as a wife or a husband, or a girl or a boy, do I ever hear her or him? Or I hear her or him through the image I have built about her or him, through the screen of irritations, screen of annoyance, domination, all that dreadful things that come in relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So, do I ever hear directly what you say? without translating, without transforming it, without twisting it. Do you ever hear a bird cry, or a child weep, or a man crying in pain? You follow, sir? Do you ever hear anything?
In a conversation we had about a year ago, I was very struck by something you said, which I regard as, for myself personally, immensely valuable. You said that hearing was doing nothing to stop or interfere with seeing. Hearing is doing nothing to stop seeing. That is very remarkable, because in conversation, the notion of hearing is regarded as intimately associated with command. We will say, won't we, now hear me out. And the person thinks that they have to lean forward in the sense of do something voluntarily.
Right.
It's as though they have to screw themselves up into some sort of agonized twist here, not only to please the one who is insisting that they're not hearing, but to get up some hearing on their own.
Right.
Yes.
So, does a human being, I or X, listen at all? And what takes place when I do listen? Listen in the sense without any interference, without any interpretation, conclusion, like on this, all that takes place. What happens when I actually listen? So look, we said just now, we cannot possibly understand what beauty is if we don't understand suffering, passion. You hear that statement. What does the mind do? It draws a conclusion. It has formed an idea, verbal idea, words, hears the words, draws a conclusion, and an idea. Say, a statement of that kind has become an idea. Then the man says, how am I to carry out that idea? And that becomes a problem.
Of course it does, because the idea doesn't conform to nature, and other people have other ideas, and they want to get theirs embodied. Now we're up against the clash.
Yes. So, can I listen to that? Can the mind listen to that statement without any forming an abstraction? Just listen. And either agreeing or disagree, just actually listen completely to that statement.
If I'm following you, what you're saying is that were I to listen adequately, or just, let's say, listen, because it's not a question of more or less. I'm absolutely listening, or I'm absolutely not listening.
That's
yes. I would not have to contrive an answer.
No, because you are in it.
Yes. So, like the cat, the action and the seeing are one.
Yes.
They're one act.
That's right.